Shai. This is Genesis. I'm going to go into Genesis, the second chapter, because me and Apostle Gabar, along with Elder Sakaran, when we did the GMS in transit, we were planning on doing a breakdown of Genesis, the second chapter, which, before we went into the actual chapter in the book of Genesis, you know how we go into certain scriptures. Basically, the video would have been maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so, maybe an hour and a half. And the Apostle Gabar only got recorded a little more than 30 minutes of that video that we did. So, and after he realized it, he got kind of pissed off. So I said, don't worry about it. Either I'll do it or you do it or somebody else would do it. And I even mentioned Yashawamba, because he's always doing videos on various topics, along with you other brothers, but his name just popped up, you know. And there's a lot of brothers out there that do a lot of different videos on various topics. So, you know, here it goes. And I'm, you know, most high willing, maybe these other brothers would also do a response to Genesis, the second chapter. So I'm going to start at the first verse, Genesis 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. Now, this is, now you got to go back to Genesis, the first chapter, to read about the, how the heavens and the earth were put together by the angels led by our Savior, Yahweh Shai. Second verse, and on the seventh day, now people normally read it like this, and on the second day God ended his work which he had made. So they'll say, well, God, the Most High, the Supreme, when I say the Supreme, I'm talking about Yahweh wasn't even mentioned until the fourth verse. So the second verse would actually be read this way. That's why you have to know the Hebrew and the Greek. It says that on the seventh day, the word there should be powers, from the Hebrew word Elohim, which means gods or powers, or you could say angels. And it says his work, it should be their work, which he, the word there should be they, had made. And they rested on the seventh day from all their work which they had made. And the powers, Elohim, blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it they had rested from all of their work which the powers, Elohim, created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth. Now that word generation also means a record. Or account. It said these are the generations of the heaven and the earth, and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. So what did it mean he made the earth and the heavens? Meaning he put the order out for the angels led by Yahweh Shai to create the heaven and earth. And I'm going to show you that in bear with me for a minute. This is Hebrews. This is Hebrews 1. Okay, it says Hebrews 1 verse 1. It says, God, which is the Most High, who at sundry times and in different manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. So that hasn't changed. The way the Most High speaks to the children of Israel is by way of the prophets. And we believe that we're the prophets. The second verse, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things. He, the Most High, the Father, hath appointed to the Son heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. So now let's go back to the fifth verse. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For it says here, the Lord God, which is Yahweh, Elohim, had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So you had what was called a dew that comes up from the ground, the moisture that covers the grass, the greenery. And that still happens to this day. 6th verse. But there went up a mist from the earth, that's the dew, and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Now I'm going to show you that man was created in the first chapter of Genesis, when the Most High breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Bear with me for a minute. I'm going to show you that that's the spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you can say. Okay, the first scripture I want to go to is 2nd Esdras, which is Greek for Ezra. 2nd Esdras 16 verse 61. He made man and put his heart in the midst of the body, the middle of his body, and gave him breath, life, and understanding. Breath, life, and understanding. So when the Most High set up Adam, because man was already made, he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, meaning he gave him breath, life, and understanding. Now this is I'm gonna just go right to the point. You can read up above it and below it. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me go to that. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter and the 25th verse, but I'm going to read I'll start at the 24th verse. For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. This is written in Old English, so. Now, wisdom is referred to as a feminine spirit, which is the nurturing spirit. That's why when you go to the book of Isaiah, it speaks about, Isaiah 28, it speaks about being weaned from the breast and drawn from the milk, or drawn from the breast. That's how you learn this knowledge. So this wisdom that we receive is in a form of a motherly feminine spirit. For she is the breath of the power of the Most High and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no undefiled thing fall into her. So this truth is pure even to this day. So now let's go back. Read it again, 7th verse. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground. And by the way, the word Adama, from the word Adama, means ground. Now, when you come across the word Adam and you click on the blue letter, it'll say that the word Adam means man. Actually, it means ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So the breath of life is what? The breath of life is the wisdom. I'm going to go to the book of Ezekiel, (37) and let me see. And this is one of my favorite chapters, Ezekiel 37, the 37th chapter. Anyway, I'm going to start at I'll start at the 4th verse. It says, again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and that's what we're doing. we believe we're the prophets, so we're doing what the prophets would do. And say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh is the scriptures, or the scriptures. 5th verse, thus saith Yahweh, the Most High, unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. So we are physically living. We are physically actually breathing. So when it says in the 5th verse, thus saith Yahweh the Most High unto these bones, which are the Israel in a dead state, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. So that breath we read in the Apocrypha, in Wisdom of Solomon, and also in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, that breath represents wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Wisdom and knowledge and understanding of the fact that we're the Israelites. Let me read it again. Thus saith Yahweh the Most High unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, starting with wisdom. It says, it's in the Apocrypha, it says wisdom, in the Wisdom of Solomon, and in 2nd Ezra 16, it says understanding, breath, life, and understanding. So when you break it down, this word breath is referring to wisdom, starting with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I will cause breath, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, starting with wisdom. It says, it's in the Apocrypha, it says wisdom, in the Wisdom of Solomon, and in 2nd Ezra 16, it says understanding, breath, life, and understanding. So when you break it down, this word breath is referring to wisdom, starting with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. And you can also go to, which I'm not going to go to it, you can go to Revelation, the 11th chapter, and it pretty much goes hand in hand with Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, in the 5th verse. It says, and I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you. So the Most High put marrow back into the bones, restored the bones, brought the bones together, put sinews to hold the bones together, veins, and when it says flesh, it's talking about veins and blood, the things that cover the bones. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath. The breath is what? Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in you, and ye shall live. This is referring to the dead. What Ezekiel saw was the state of the Israelites in America, even though there's Israelites all around, all over the world, all over the planet. He was in America because it says, it used the word valley. That valley that's spoken of in Psalms the 23rd chapter is America. And the valley is a low land. Excuse me. 6th verse, Ezekiel 37 verse 6. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. So the ones of you Israelites out there that you said that you follow Allah and you're a Muslim or you're a Moor, or you believe in the gods of Kemet, you're still in a dead state. This is the only truth that will stand at the end of the day. Us being Israelites. Okay, it says, that's why you got a lot of rappers, they're claiming that they're Israelites. The last rapper, which he won awards for his skills, came out and said he was an Israelite. This is Kendrick Lamar. 7th verse. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and that's what we're doing. We're prophesying. The reason why we're out there on the highways and the byways is because the Most High commanded us in the scriptures. And as I prophesied, there was a noise and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. Now, but keep in mind, bone to his bone. When we go back to Genesis, the 2nd chapter, when it talks about Adam and Eve coming together, and it says bone, for they are bone. She is bone to his bone. I'll go back and read it. So what does it mean? What does it mean by bone to his bone? Meaning the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Levi, the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Issachar, the tribe of Naphtali, the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Asher. All these different tribes coming back together because we're of the same family. We're of the same generals, the same people, broken up into tribes. So let me read that again. So I prophesied as I commanded, and as there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. This kingdom shall not be left to other people. Daniel, the 2nd chapter, around about the 44th verse, I believe. So if you're of another nation outside of Israel, these blessings do not apply to you. 8th verse. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. In other words, you have a lot of Israelites out there that know that they're Israelites, but you have some of them that only deal with the Old Testament or the law or the Tanakh. There's some that say, well, the Latin tribes are not part of the children of Israel. You have some Israelite groups that say you're of a particular tribe based upon what month you were born. Now, that doesn't make any sense because you can have a bunch of brothers and sisters and they're all born on different dates. So you mean to tell me that a man and a woman can get together and have 5 children, and each child is from a different tribe? That doesn't make any sense. You are what your father is. 9th verse. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Yahweh the Most High, come from the 4 winds, O breath, and breath meaning knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and breathe knowledge, wisdom, and understanding upon these slain that they may live. Because just because you know that you're an Israelite, you're not alive. You're still in that dead state. You don't understand the scriptures. 10th verse. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army. When you see those various camps out there teaching, mainly Great Millstone, because we have the full breadth. We have the full knowledge and wisdom and understanding of these scriptures. Those other camps don't. So they have to follow us to get the full knowledge and wisdom and understanding. I'm going to give you an example. The mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the microchip technology that they're ready to, by mandate, sticking to your right hand, left hand, forehead, and your body. And that's what it's talking about. It's not talking about the mark of the beast is the chip plus Christianity plus, no. It's talking about the microchip technology. And a lot of these camps teach otherwise, so they don't have the full breadth in them. So now let's go back. Let's go to the 7th verse of Genesis 2, verse 7. And Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, and that dust represents confusion, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. A verse, and Yahweh Elohim, or Yahweh the Lord, the powers, planted a garden eastward in Eden. Now, Eden is the whole planet, but the word Eden is from the Hebrew word Idan, which means paradise or joy. And there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. Like you get, apples, bananas, oranges, whatever fruit, dates, figs, olives. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil are not actual trees that grow out of the ground. It's talking about philosophy. The tree of life goes into the constellation of the stars out there and the way the stars are set up. Back in the day, you had what was called a monthly almanac, where they would go by the pattern of the stars to see if you had a good crop or not. So the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life now is really the scriptures and understanding the scriptures by way of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai supping with you. Then the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is also an influence, not an actual tree. And a river, 10th verse, and a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison. That is it which compasses the whole land of Havilah. Now Havilah is where the Ishmaelites dwelt in Arabia, you can call it. That would be southeast of Jerusalem. It would be below the land of Seir, or the land of Edom, Moab and Ammon. It would be east of the Red Sea. So that's so Pison would have to be the Red Sea. 11th verse again, the name of the first is Pison, which is the Red Sea. That is it which compasses. Now if you click on Pison, the blue letter is not going to tell you it's a Red Sea, but it will indicate geographically where it might be located. It said that is it which compasses the whole land of Havilah. So you got to look up Havilah. And when you click on Havilah, you find out that that's, and you have to do a lot of clicking and going to different pages. And then eventually they'll tell you that that's the land of the Ishmaelites, where there is gold. And the gold of the land is good, and there is bedlam and onyx stone, your mineral resources. And that's why Esau is over there in the Middle East, because of the mineral resources, mainly the oil. 13. And the name of the second is Gihon. The same is it that compasses the whole land of Ethiopia. So that would be, that body of water would have to be the Nile River, the so-called Nile River. 14th verse. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria. So if you open up a biblical map and you pinpoint Assyria and you go east of that, that would uttermost east. There would be two rivers, Euphrates and Hiddekel. So the further east you go would be Hiddekel, which is the Tigris, and the fourth river is Euphrates, which is closer to Assyria. So those are those four rivers. Matter of fact, okay, I'm in the 14th verse. Let me go back. 10th verse. Genesis 2, verse 10. And the river went out of Eden toward, now that river is the river Jordan, to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into four heads. Because remember, you had what was called a Pangea, which this was the planet. You had the land mass was all together as one piece. And that also proves that there was a great flood, because it broke up the earth. If you look at a world map, you can see how the pieces of the earth, the continents, the bodies of land, how they fit together like a puzzle. So now let's go to the 15th verse. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. You can eat apples, you can eat pears, you can eat pineapples, you can eat bananas. But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat. Now, eat meaning study this influence. Because I just broke down that the tree of knowledge, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil are not actual trees. So they were able to partake of the tree of life, but they were commanded not to partake of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. When you delve into things outside of the scriptures, it says 17th verse again, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And Jake is messed up, man. You know, when you read from the Quran, you read from any of these other books, you follow the way of the Moors, the Islam, Buddha, Kemet. You know, all of these books and influence, and the scripture says in Ecclesiastes 12, the making of books, there's no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh, because all you're going to do is get confused. So Jake is in a confused state of mind. That's why Yahweh took Adam from the dust of the ground, the dust meaning confusion. 18. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good for the man that the man should be alone. I will make him and help me for him. Now keep in mind that you had more than one person on the earth. There was no such thing as the first man, Adam. He's walking around scratching his head trying to figure out what's going on. The Adam that we're reading about was born of a father and a mother. 19 verse. And out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. '20th verse. And Adam gave names to all creatures. Like, for example, the cattle would be, the first character of the Hebrew is which is alap, which means cattle, but it also means 1,000. Bear with me for a minute. Yeah, this truth that we're giving to you is the only way. This is the fulfillment of Revelation 11, also Ezekiel the 37th chapter. So when you're going into Genesis the 2nd chapter, you would have to go to Ezekiel the 37th chapter. Right, 21st verse. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs. And this is all parabolic talk. This is all symbolic. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. '23rd verse. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Now remember, I said keep in mind bone to his bone in Ezekiel the 37th chapter. So let me go to bone of my bone. Let me go back to Ezekiel. Okay, that's the 7th verse of Ezekiel 37, 7th verse. So I prophesied as I commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone, which makes us one family. Okay, I'm going to go to Genesis 29, verse 14. And Laban said to him, surely Thou art my bone. Matter of fact, let me go a verse or two above that. Okay, I'm going to start the 11th verse. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. So they were family. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass when Laban, the father of Rachel, heard of the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, his sister, Laban's sister is Rachel. I'm sorry, Rebecca. Excuse me, Rebecca. And Rebecca had Jacob and Esau. It says, I'll read the 13th verse again. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Laban said to Jacob, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldst thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? 16th verse. And Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel, which Jacob was in love with. He wasn't necessarily in love with Leah. Yeah, because it goes on and said, and men choose women because of their beauty. First of all, you're attracted to a woman based upon what she looks like. It says, yeah, because when I was, young, when I was 11, 12, the little girls my age, in junior high school, you would eye the girl. I remember that. I would look at her. I said, oh, I like her. I'm gonna bump into her. I'm gonna say a few words to her, and I'll bump into her again. I'm gonna say some more words to her. I'm talking about when I was a kid, when I was a child. And then I'm gonna, ask her if I can walk her home, and then it leads from one thing to another. Because you realize, you find out, you understand the so-called birds and the bees when really you're 11, 12 years old. And you're the one that leads that whole thing, not the woman. You're the one that leads that whole thing. You go after her. So the same thing happened with Jacob pursuing Rachel. It says Leah was tender-eyed, but she didn't look as good as her sister. But Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. 18. And Jacob loved Rachel. And why did he love Rachel? First of all, because of her looks. That's how it starts. Then you get to know each other, and then you love them even more, all right? And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. So the word serve is really it means slavery. I'll go into slavery for your daughter to get with your daughter. Anyway, you can read the rest of the story on your own. So now let's go back to Genesis 2, verse 23. And Adam said, "This is bone of my bone So I just read Genesis 29 to show you bone of my bone represents we're coming together as one. You're part of my family. This is 2 Samuel 19, verse 13. And say ye to Amasa, art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? The Most High do so to me, and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. So this was talking about during the time of King David. So that bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, meaning my family, my genos. Okay, the 23rd verse again. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. 24, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So your mother and your father has nothing to do with you dealing with this woman, man. If your parents say, oh, we don't like the woman, but that's too bad. That's too bad. You know, once you get with that woman, that's your woman. It says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. 25th verse. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Now that part where it says they were both naked meant that they were they were naive, you know, because the Most High said, do this thing, that thing, and the other thing, according to this order. And that's why he said, of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not partake of, not eat of. So when they ate of it, and it was Eve, the woman that ate of it, and caused influenced Adam to eat of it, the Most High knew that they went off, and then they realized that they were naked and were ashamed. Now it says, I'm going to end with this. Because they use the saying, even today, you know, caught with your pants down. That doesn't mean your pants are literally down. Going to Revelation, I believe it's Revelation 16. And Most High willing, we'll go into Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Okay, Revelation 16. I'll start at the 13th verse. It says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast. And the beast is NATO and the EU, which are all these military and economic nations that happen to be so-called European or of European descent, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. And that's starting with your Roman Catholic Church, and all the churches that come of it. And behind the scenes, you have people that actually worship Satan, which they all worship Satan any damn way. And the dragon represents the power behind this whole thing, which goes back to the Roman Empire. See, what you got to understand, when the EU was brought together, it was, what was it, the I believe it was the EEC, the European Economic Community, and the name changed, I believe, a couple of times, but it's known today as the EU, the European Union, which I believe the EEC was brought together by a meeting called it was a treaty called the Treaty of Rome. So there goes your Rome right there. All right, so your power comes from Rome, going back 2,000 years ago, because this is Rome all over again, but it's being called NATO and the EU, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is the beast. And it's the beast that's going to administer, issue their mark, which is the microchip. And that's to complete the circle of the Internet of Things. Because a lot of people are going to, well, if you go to Europe, they accept it openly. They have chipping parties now. So a lot of those Europeans, they don't have a problem with it because they don't understand the scriptures. Okay, 14 verse. For they are the spirit of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings. The kings are talking about the other nations around the world, because part of that microchipping, their plan is to microchip the whole planet, because what they want to establish is a cashless society. It says, I'll read that again, 14. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth, the other nations, the leaders of the other nations, and of the whole world. And that's how they get the masses of the various people, sovereigns, to accept something through their leaders. Whether they're called prime ministers or presidents, they're all kings. They're all, anybody that's a ruler of something is a king. It says, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world. Now that word world, if you click on it, it should say oikomeni. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that. Actually, it doesn't. Yep, the whole world. Oikomeni. And oikomeni is different from the word cosmos. Oikomeni is a Greek word meaning the inhabited earth. It goes on to give you a bunch of definitions that they go off on, some of them. Another definition is the whole inhabited earth, the world, the inhabitants of the earth, men, the universe, the world. That's why you got to know those root words to get the full understanding of these scriptures. 14 verse again. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles which go, and part of their miracles is this technology. You know, the Internet of Things. And other, like cars that you have now, you can pretty much get internet, Wi-Fi in your car while you're driving. You got XM radio, which you can be listening, because I have XM radio and I'll put it on CNN if there's breaking news I'll go to XM radio. Now let's say I'm driving from New York to California. If I reach Chicago, the station is not going to change. So that's also a part of their technology on a small level. Their weapons, their guided missiles and so forth. You know, their technology as a whole. You know, the fact that you can do live shows, we can do live shows. And the whole, you know, 1 billion people can watch that live show. That's technology. That's something that we couldn't do 10, 20 years ago. 14th verse again. For they are the spirit of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world. The whole world meaning oikomeni, the whole planet, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Most High Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he or she, that have this knowledge and know that this place is getting ready to go down. It says, blessed is them that watcheth and keepeth his garments. What does it mean, keepeth his garments? It means to have this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in your head and do what the scriptures say. Did not the Most High say to Ezekiel, and he commanded him to go and prophesy to these dry bones? Didn't he say commanded? That's in the scriptures. Did not Yahweh Shai in Matthew 10 tell the disciples, he commanded them not to go to the Gentiles, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel? That's a commandment. That's an order. And that's exactly what we're doing here at a Great Millstone. It says, behold, 15th verse, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watch. And it's not going to come as a thief to us because we're constantly watching. And keepeth his garments, meaning this knowledge. The ones of you people that left this truth, a lot of you left the truth after the year 2000. So the year 2000 thing was a stumbling block to y'all. And some of y'all came back, but you didn't come back the same way. You know, you take winters off. There's certain leaders that don't have to go out after if they put 3-4 years in and they get a bunch of people under them, they don't have to go out no more. They'll send, when did the Most High tell Ezekiel, go and send men under you to go out and prophesy? When did Yahweh Shai in the Matthew 10 chapter tell the apostles, well, let's go out there and speak on the highways and the byways, and when you get enough men, you can take a break and let them go out and speak? That's not in the scriptures. You show me that in the scriptures. Lest he walk naked. So a lot of these guys are walking naked, man. You guys that fell off and went back into the world, and you casually bring up the subject of Israel. You the guys that are naked, man. Lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Because if you're not ready, this is what you're going to taste. You're going to taste these missiles. Revelation 16, verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. 17. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. Yeah, I'm going to stop on here. I'm going to stop at this verse. Anyway, with that, make your response videos, your comments. I'm going to say shalom.